If you're considering a move to the Gallatin Valley, Belgrade, Montana is experiencing remarkable growth that's worth understanding. The city has nearly doubled in size in 15 years, and the developments happening right now are significant. Here's some quick numbers. In 2010, Belgrade had about 7,400 residents. By 2020, that number jumped to over 10,000. That's more than a 41% increase. By 2023, the population hit 12,500. That's another 20% increase in just 3 years. At full build-out of Belgrade's current and planned projects, Belgrade could reach 35,000 residents. For additional perspective, that is larger than cities or towns in Montana like Butte or the capital city of Helena. This growth is planned, not accidental. Belgrade has strategically annexed over 1,800 acres, essentially doubling the physical footprint of the town. City planners are thinking decades ahead, and what I'm going to show you demonstrates their long-term approach. Today, we're going to go through each major development, what's being built, what it costs, timelines, and what you should know if you're considering Belgrade. We're also going to talk through some of the smaller developments and other factors at play. So we're going to dive into the map here so that I can show you exactly where all of this is taking place in and around Belgrade. So as we can see here, this is current Belgrade city limits. What we'll start with today is the development that everyone is talking about, West Post. We're looking at 250 acres and 1,400 plus homes at full build out. To put that in perspective, that's bigger than many entire Montana towns. This is Belgrade's answer to master planned communities, and it is right here on the south side of the interstate, or on the south side of Belgrade. The location is absolutely prime. It's just 2 miles from Bozeman International Airport right here to the north. You've got direct access to Interstate 90 via Alaska Road right here. And you're only 11 to 13 minutes or so from downtown Bozeman. West Post is in an absolute prime location. Now let's talk about what you actually get for your money. There are multiple builders working in West Post, each with different approaches and price points. Williams Homes is the volume builder here, and they've got 3 main floor plans. Each comes with a variety of finishes, appliances, styles, and sizes, priced typically in the 500s, with 4 active listings right now. One of those is listed at $499,000 with nearly 1,100 square feet, 2-bed, 2-bath. The next one is listed at $520,000. It's 1,300 square feet with 3 beds and 2 bathrooms. And the last 2 are a more spacious floor plan with 2,200 square feet, 4-bed, and 3-bath, listed at $604,000. So let's take a quick look at one of those. You can see here, very open floor plan, sort of a split level. So you've got an upstairs and a downstairs, just to kind of save that space and still provide a little bit of a backyard. There's some of the aerial footage of the neighborhood overall, and these homes are being built over in that zone there. Now, Edgell Building brings a completely different approach to the neighborhood. This is a family-owned company that's been in Montana construction for over 40 years. They started in Missoula and expanded to the Gallatin Valley. They're building contemporary townhomes in West Post with 2 to 3 bedroom layouts. They currently have 1 townhome for sale that's 1,800 square feet, listed at $529,000. This is an example of one of those townhomes, just so you can get a feel for what they really look like. Really lovely Montana mountain modern styles here. You can really see as well what the views look like, the proximity to the park here, and just a really quality build. With HOA maintained exteriors, whether that's a pro or con depends on your perspective, of course, but the build quality tends to be higher than other volume builders. There are, of course, other builders working various lots throughout West Post, and you can see the variety of options here, including some doing custom builds on individual lots. The townhomes that are currently for sale range from about $500,000 to $529,000 or $539,000. Single family homes overall range from about $515,000 to about $629,000. And all current listings range from 2 to 4 bedroom homes from about 1,100 to about 2,200 square feet. The advantage in West Post of having multiple builders is that you get different price points and quality levels, but you definitely need to do your homework on the various builders' reputations and warranty programs. West Post has a very suburban feel that some buyers do tend to prefer, while others may find it too generic. The amenities in the neighborhood are also still being built out, so you're somewhat buying into the potential rather than current amenities. And you are going to have to expect 2 to 3 more years of heavy construction going on in the neighborhood around you. Now, there's also a potential development called Middletown that's definitely worth mentioning, though information is still quite limited at this point. The proposed scope is ambitious: 600 acres with up to 4,686 potential residential units. If developed as planned, this could house over 12,000 people. However, this project is in the very early planning stages with very limited public information available. Projects of this scale require extensive environmental studies, infrastructure planning, and regulatory approvals that can take years to work through. We'll keep monitoring Middletown as more details become available, and I'll definitely provide updates when there's more concrete information to share. For now, it's just worth being aware of, but there's plenty of active developments that we're going to focus more on, at least in this video. Like I said, as soon as I have more information about that, I will definitely be putting an update out as well. Diving right back into the map here, of course, this is Belgrade. We're going to talk about the development that's addressing Belgrade's biggest gap, which is Jackrabbit Crossing. This is a 200-acre mixed-use project bringing both jobs and amenities that Belgrade has needed. Right over here on the other side of Jackrabbit Lane, also known as Highway 85 or even 191. So we'll zoom in here, but you're not going to be able to see a whole lot just yet. First and foremost, Amazon's 50,000 square foot distribution center is already operational. Governor Gianforte cut the ribbon and they're currently hiring. This facility processes packages for final delivery within a 50-mile radius and represents about a $27 million investment in the area. Rose Hours has also signed a long-term lease as the grocery anchor. This addresses a real need. Belgrade residents currently have very limited options in town for a full-service grocery store. The options that do exist are a little bit smaller, so residents do often end up driving to Bozeman for more specialty items, more of an organic market, and of course for bulk items. This Rose Hours will likely be about 45,000 to 60,000 square feet, being significantly larger with more options than what Belgrade currently has. Other businesses that are already committed in the area include a freestanding Starbucks location, Maverick gas station and convenience store, Empire Building Materials, and some mixed-use office and retail spaces. This development changes Belgrade's retail landscape. Instead of driving to Bozeman for groceries, major shopping, and services, more of those needs can be met locally. The location really does work well. Positioned between Cameron Bridge here and Frank Road here to the north, intersecting with major traffic flow there on Jackrabbit, it's designed to serve both Belgrade residents and pass-through traffic. And the timeline for remaining development looks like Rose Hours will take 2 to 3 years for construction, and full development build-out is probably 5 to 7 years out. Now let's talk about Black Rock. This is 170 acres focused primarily on multi-family housing, addressing Belgrade's limited rental options. This is on the north side of Belgrade and includes 1,360 total units, with phase 1 focusing on 35 multifamily lots. That breaks down to 23 fourplex buildings providing 92 units, plus 3plex buildings adding another 36 units, 128 rental units in that first phase. Belgrade's rental market has been historically limited, which has pushed some renters back to Bozeman, or maybe even forced earlier home purchases than people planned. Black Rock could significantly expand Belgrade's rental options. The infrastructure requirements are substantial. Primary access will likely be some way off of Bollinger Road, maybe off of Weaver Road. They're building all city standard streets with curb, gutter, and sidewalks. The water and sewer impact fees indicate this is a major project that is fully integrating into city services. The current status is that preliminary plat approval has been recommended by Belgrade planning staff. They're working through the city approval process, so construction probably won't start until 2026 or 2027, but it appears to cover some of this open area here where Collins and Weaver Road connect. Multifamily development often faces community resistance. Belgrade residents want growth, but they also want to maintain that small town feel. BlackRock may test that balance. Now let's talk about a development that's already proving the concept, the Yellowstone Airport Plaza. This is a 50-acre mixed-use project on a former gravel pit right next to Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport. Right in here. What makes this interesting is it's specifically designed as workforce housing. Phase 1 opened in fall of 2024 and it's called Yellowstone Landing, with 170 apartment units ranging from 1 to 4 bedrooms, sized from 557 to just under 1,200 square feet. These aren't luxury apartments, they're practical housing for people working in the area. We can take a look right here at what they have planned and what's already going on. So the area covers right through here overall, and we can take a look here at what they have planned in that zone. This area here is the workforce housing, which isn't even showing up on this satellite image yet. It just looks like a bunch of construction. So what they have already is a lot of this workforce housing built. The amenities are solid. There's a fitness center, a co-working space, a dog park, and a pool. But the real value is the location and purpose. You are right next to the airport, 10 miles from Bozeman, 50 miles from Big Sky, and this serves employees from the airport, local businesses, and people who work in Bozeman but want a shorter commute than living further out. Charter Realty is developing the full plaza, and they've already announced phase 2 with an additional 7 acres acquired in 2025. The broader plaza includes an Even hotel that's already completed, a Holiday gas station that's operational, and future plans for restaurants, retail, and potentially a movie theater and bowling alley. This addresses a specific need in the Gallatin Valley: workforce housing. Not everyone wants to or can afford a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 house, but they still need quality housing with reasonable access to jobs. Yellowstone Airport Plaza proves there's demand for this approach. And the location definitely benefits from direct I-90 access via the airport interchange, making it convenient for people working throughout the valley. All right, now let's take a look at what might be a very practical choice for many buyers, and that is Ashton Meadows. This is a 140-acre development with 693 residential units that addresses several common concerns. The homes in Ashton Meadows are typically between 1,700 and 2,200 square feet, which is a range that many families find functional. You're getting current design trends, larger windows, open concept, and efficient use of space. Most of the homes are 3-bed, 2-bath. One thing about Ashton Meadows that tends to save time and money, especially down the road, is that many of the homes include landscaping and underground irrigation already installed. That's typically a $15,000 to $25,000 expense that you do not have to manage. And from what I've seen, especially, the construction quality is solid for the price point. The practical advantages are clear. Many of the homes are available for a quick closing, 30 to 60 days if you find something suitable. And there's quite a bit less active construction chaos in Ashton Meadows compared to West Post, as those utility connections and everything are already established. Turning to the map here, Ashton Meadows is up here just north of Story Creek Elementary School off of Bollinger and Windjammer Way here. For buyers prioritizing schools, the location works really, really well. You're close to those schools, and the prices run in the mid-500s, with the 2 most recently sold single-family homes selling between $550,000 and $570,000. Of course, depending on the builder, lot, and upgrades. The inventory does move steadily here, and this development shows Belgrade can deliver quality housing at prices that still work for many buyers. Now, very close by to Ashton Meadows, right here along Bollinger Road, we have Cloverleaf Meadows. Cloverleaf Meadows took a different approach. This is a 44 duplex lot project that started in March of 2022 and completed in December of last year, 2024. It features large townhomes throughout. It is right here. You can see according to this, it doesn't look complete, but at this point, I believe all properties have been built. There are a few stray single family homes on the corners here on these cul-de-sacs, but everything else is a duplex townhome. The location is strategic, just south of Belgrade's newest school there at Story Creek and west of Prescott Ranch. There is an HOA with quarterly fees and covenants, which some buyers prefer and others want to avoid, but they do plan to have a lovely park right here in the middle. What's interesting about Cloverleaf is it addresses the townhome market specifically. If you want something newer than a traditional single-family home but don't want the full responsibility of all exterior maintenance, this development was designed for that. The project had 2 parade homes last year, which gives you a sense of the quality level builders are targeting. Since it's recently completed, you're looking at newer construction without ongoing development disruption as well. There are currently 3 townhomes for sale in Cloverleaf Meadows between $510,000 and $540,000. Let's take a look at this option here listed at $509,900. It's a 3-bed, 3-bath, 1,900 square foot townhome built in 2022. Absolutely lovely finishes. I'm very familiar with this particular builder as well. They do really quality work. And I believe that this townhome happens to be an active short-term rental that was doing quite well also. So it is nice to know that this neighborhood does allow for that. Belgrade does allow for that overall, and then the covenants do as well. So it's kind of nice if you're looking for something that you only want to stay in part-time, if you're looking for an investment property, Cloverleaf Meadows is a great place to look. And this one has a lovely fenced-in backyard as well. All right. Now on to Bridger Heights, which represents a different development philosophy. This one is 195 acres with almost 1,200 units planned across multiple phases, but they're taking their time. The phased approach has practical benefits. Infrastructure gets built incrementally, which puts less strain on city services. Market demand dictates timing for the next phases, so they can make adjustments based on feedback from earlier phases. Phase 3B received final plat approval in 2022 and infrastructure improvements are ongoing. You've got sidewalks, boulevards, street improvements that are committed and funded. Multiple builders are working, which gives you options. For buyers, there are also clear advantages. Earlier phases have established market values, the construction timeline is longer, and you also get variety in housing types across different price points. The timeline is realistic. Current phase completion is probably late 2025 to 2026, and next phase availability will be based on how quickly the current inventory sells, with a full build out of 8 to 12 years depending on market conditions. Overall, the development covers this general area here, and there are several homes currently available. So let's switch over here and take a look at what those options are. Options range from a $435,000 townhome that's 3-bed, 3 baths at 1,700 square feet, all the way up to a $550,000 single family home that was built in 2024. Now, many of the townhomes are brand new construction. Some of these single family homes might be a little bit older or resale. Let's take a look at this single family 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,365 square foot built in 2022. So this home is definitely a resale. Somebody bought it new in 2022, most likely. Fully fenced in backyard here, right in the neighborhood. And listed at $517,000. It looks like it uses the square footage pretty well. So let's move on to the expansion at Meadowlark Ranch. So we're going to move a little bit further east here and take a look at this development that's just on the other side of the airport. So the expansion is phases 5 and 6 right here to the north. This is about expanding a community that's already working really well. Meadowlark Ranch has established itself as one of Belgrade's most desirable communities. Right here, this whole section is Meadowlark Ranch, which connects over here to Ryan Glen. What's made this area so successful? It's got good proximity to Belgrade schools, Bridger Mountain views, walking trails, playgrounds, parks, a community pond, and stable property values. The new phases are adding 73 acres with 145 new residential units. Plus, there's a potential of 47 mixed use and commercial units. That mixed use component is worth watching. Adding commercial to residential community can work well if done thoughtfully. The infrastructure approach is methodical. Utilities, streets, curbs, sidewalks are all being upgraded. Final plat approval is still in process, but they're taking the careful approach, infrastructure first and then homes, and some construction is already underway. There are several homes available in Meadowlark Ranch as well. With one older home here, you can see in the earlier phases of development, a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,500 square foot home listed at $584,000. And the rest of these on the north side being some of those new builds, priced from about $569,000 all the way up to $840,000. There's a variety of builders doing some of the work in here as well. So again, always important to check out the build quality, warranty information, that sort of thing with new builds. But let's take a quick peek at one of them here. This is a 4-bed, 3-bath, one of the larger homes in this neighborhood at 2,400 square feet, built this year in 2025 and listed at $755,000. Open floor plan again, 2-story home with lots of open space. And if we take a closer look at where that one is located here, you're gonna miss out on some of the views which are more in that direction. So for instance, this home site, it might have better views than the one across the street. But from that upstairs front window, you're probably gonna be able to see the Bridgers. Now let's talk a little bit more about whether or not Belgrade can actually handle this growth. The biggest question is infrastructure, and the biggest infrastructure challenge is traffic. But Belgrade has a $25 million solution that could change everything. The Jackrabbit Lane widening project isn't just road improvements. This is Belgrade's answer to the biggest growth challenge. I'm going to show you the current problems here. So this north-south is Jackrabbit Lane. And once you get into Belgrade, especially on the north side of the interstate here or on the north side of the overpass, you've got 2 lanes handling increased traffic from all these new developments, especially to the north and northwest. But the real killer is the railroad crossings. I'm talking about a 10 to 15 minute delay multiple times a day. Anyone who's lived here knows the train problem is real. So the complete solution that they're implementing is widening this to 5 lanes. That's 2 lanes each direction plus a center turn lane. But the game changer is the railroad underpass construction. This could completely eliminate train delays. No more sitting there watching a mile-long freight train crawl by. And the main point where this happens, of course, where Jackrabbit and Main Street intersect here, you also have the trains running right through town. There's actually a couple other intersections as well that can cause problems over here further into town, both on Broadway and Oregon Street. They're also adding ADA compliant sidewalks throughout, improved bike lanes, pedestrian access, and modern traffic signals with coordination. The total investment is $25 million in federal raised grant money, plus additional city and state matching funds. This level of federal investment shows Belgrade's growth is on the national radar. Now, we do have to be realistic about the timeline. The design phase runs through 2028. Right-of-way acquisition starts late 2025 into early 2026, and construction won't likely begin until 2029 or 2030. So yes, it is still years away, but the funding is secured, and that's a huge part of it. So here's another thing that most people might not be thinking about. Once that railroad underpass opens, properties west of the railroad tracks become significantly more attractive. It may be a currently undervalued area, so it could be worth watching for those property values and investment purposes. The Dry Creek, Cruiser Lane, and Spooner Road intersection improvements right here affect access to several developments, including Ashton Meadows and future eastern expansion. The planned improvements include traffic operation and capacity upgrades, pedestrian and bicycle facilities, street lighting upgrades, and utility improvements. Sewer, storm sewer, water main replacements, and construction is already underway. This matters because eastern Belgrade is seeing significant growth, but the current infrastructure wasn't designed for the traffic volume. They're getting ahead of the problem instead of reacting to it after it becomes critical. Finally, let's talk a little bit more about the Bozeman Airport expansion and how it affects Belgrade residents. The East Terminal expansion project is a $140 to $180 million investment running through 2030. We're talking about 3 additional baggage claim carousels to reduce wait times, a second security checkpoint, expanded A concourse with capability for 3 more gates, bringing the total from 12 to 15, and additional retail and food options. The airport is located directly in Belgrade here. And West Post, for example, is only 2 miles away from the terminal. This means ultimate convenience for travelers, but it also means aircraft noise is a reality for Belgrade residents. Flight patterns and prevailing winds determine which areas are going to be most affected. You get unmatched airport access, but you need to factor in the aviation activity when choosing your specific location within Belgrade. Let's take a quick look now at what it costs to live in Belgrade versus Bozeman. For a quick comparison, a 1,600 square foot, 3-bed, 2-bath, brand new construction home in Belgrade runs between $515,000 up to about $680,000. That same home in Bozeman is going to be priced between $630,000 up to about $900,000. That is a $100,000 to $200,000 plus difference in that pricing. Of course, there's going to be other factors involved, including the lot size and location, but when you really look at the broad scope there, that's a pretty significant difference. Another way to look at this is that overall in Belgrade, all currently available residential properties, that's condos, townhomes, and single-family homes, have a median list price of $579,000. The days on market average right now is about 64 days, which also indicates things have slowed down or calmed down quite a bit from the crazy rush of just a few years back. And when compared to Bozeman, that same statistic, all residential currently available properties on the market in Bozeman city limits, that median list price is about $683,000 with an average days on market of 66. So if we look at the days on market, they're about the same, but the difference in price is at least $100,000. And when BlackRock does eventually open, we might see a bit of a shift yet again. Multifamily options are projected to start at about $280,000 up to about $350,000, but that of course is yet to be seen. And if you really think about it or want to think about the rent versus buy opportunities, Belgrade rental options have significantly improved but are still more limited than Bozeman. Average rent in Belgrade can run from about $1,500 a month up to about $3,000 a month, depending of course on the size and the type of property. Depending on the down payment, credit score, and other terms of your mortgage, it can definitely be worth talking to a lender and comparing that to what a monthly payment might look like on a $300,000 or $400,000 property just to get in the market. Definitely check with your favorite lender. I know I have preferred lenders. I'm happy to give you that information if you'd like to reach out. Don't hesitate to do so, and I'd be happy to connect you. But really, it's important to think about those different factors. Rather than paying rent, what does that monthly payment look like and how does that compare? Sometimes you can be surprised that buying can actually cost less monthly than renting. So let's talk a little bit more about what this growth trajectory looks like for different types of buyers. For residents and families, Belgrade's growth brings practical benefits. Belgrade is gaining amenities like the new Rose Hours grocery store and additional services and businesses. You're getting that small town feel with increasing convenience, and you're still paying significantly less than comparable homes in neighboring Bozeman. For people looking at this as a financial decision, Belgrade's growth pattern has some interesting parallels to what happened to Bozeman over the past decade. Bozeman home prices roughly doubled from 2015 to 2024. Belgrade is a bit earlier in that growth curve, with infrastructure investments already secured and job growth happening now with developments like the Amazon facility. However, growth isn't guaranteed and definitely comes with risks. Multiple large developments building simultaneously could lead to oversupply if economic conditions change. Infrastructure delays could affect property values, and rapid growth can strain city services. For people considering rental properties, I mentioned Belgrade's rental market has improved significantly, though options are still more limited than Bozeman. These new workforce housing developments and apartment complexes are changing that landscape. A home that costs $400,000 could potentially rent for $2,200 to $2,600 a month or more. Though of course you're going to want to research those current market rates. The key here is understanding that Belgrade is in a transitional phase, growing from that small town into a bit of a larger community with more amenities and higher pricing. Let's talk about what daily life in Belgrade actually looks like, both the positives and the realities you should consider. Belgrade still has that small town Montana feel with incredible mountain views and outdoor access. It's less crowded than Bozeman, and you get genuine airport convenience for travel. The community feels authentic and welcoming. However, there are some practical realities to consider. First is construction fatigue. With multiple large developments building simultaneously, you'll be dealing with construction noise, dust, and traffic disruptions for the next 5+ years. If you buy in an active development like West Post, expect to hear heavy equipment and hammering regularly. Then there's what I call the planes, trains, and automobiles factor. Belgrade sits at the intersection of major transportation infrastructure. You've got I-90 running through town with constant highway traffic, depending on how close you are. Railroad tracks bisect the city, and until that underpass gets built, you're dealing with long freight trains multiple times daily. And depending on where you live, aircraft are taking off and landing overhead. The flip side is incredible connectivity. You can be on I-90 heading anywhere in minutes, and the airport is practically in your backyard. But if you're coming from a quiet area, the transportation noise might be more than you expect. For commuting, it's 11 to 13 minutes to downtown Bozeman without traffic, 25 to 35 minutes during peak times, and winter, of course, can add another 10 to 15 minutes. Definitely factor this into your daily routine if you're working in Bozeman. Dining and entertainment options are still limited compared to Bozeman, though improving. You'll still drive to Bozeman for many services and shopping, at least until more of the commercial developments are complete. If you're seriously considering Belgrade, here's how to think about the different developments based on your situation. For first-time buyers or those wanting move-in ready options, Ashton Meadows offers a good value with less construction disruption. The Edgell townhomes in West Post provide a lower entry point if you like the location. Families prioritizing schools and established communities might consider Ashton Meadows for the school proximity or the Meadowlark expansion for proven amenities and that community feel. If you need rental housing or are considering multifamily properties, keep an eye on BlackRock's Progress and that airport Plaza for potential immediate availability. For those planning longer term, West Post will have more amenities once construction settles down, and the airport proximity could be valuable. Areas that will benefit from the future Jackrabbit Lane improvements might also see additional growth. The key is matching the development timeline with your timeline and honestly assessing how much construction activity you can tolerate. Belgrade is clearly in a growth phase, transitioning from a small town to a larger community with more amenities and services. Whether that appeals to you depends on what you're looking for. If you found this overview helpful, be sure to subscribe so you can get those future updates, as well as learn all about other communities here in Southwest Montana like Bozeman, Big Sky, Three Forks, and everything in between. I track these projects regularly and often have additional updates as well. So don't hesitate to reach out if you're looking for additional information. Let me know in the comments below which development caught your attention, or if you have any specific questions about living in Belgrade. You can also reach out to me via phone, text, or email, and I would be happy to help out. But I do read all of the comments and often create follow-up content based on what people are asking. Belgrade's story is definitely still being written, and it really comes down to what you're looking for in Montana living. I have plenty of other videos if you're curious to learn more, and if you want to watch more right now, this is a playlist loaded with videos all about living in and around Belgrade specifically. And until next time, I hope to show you around town.